Hello. Sunday night, Sunday night. We're so happy it's Sunday night because Diana the Happy Lawyer is on. Merch. I'm going to have to figure out some kind of like theme song and Sunday night, Sunday night. Is it backwards? I guess I'm backwards when I'm going live. So it's a little backwards. That's okay. I'm okay with that. So hello everybody and welcome to Diana the Happy Lawyer. And this is the Father's Day edition of Diana the Happy Lawyer. So of course I'm going to start a little bit by talking about my dad, Charlie G and Turco. Here we are. This is us on a cruise. Of course, you see the whole rest of my house is reflecting off this thing, but there we are. Me and Charlie. What can I say? He is. Oh, wait, let me. Again, I'm gonna disturb myself by having my alarm go off. Sorry about that, folks. I set the alarm so I would know to be here. So as soon as it goes on, I'll turn it off. I don't know where it is, but no biggie. So Charlie G and Turco, if you knew him, you would be like his best friend. He was like a big kid. That's really all Charlie was. And, you know, he knew it and everybody knew it. We used to make jokes in the neighborhood in Brooklyn that the kids would knock on the door and say, you know, can Charlie come out to play? Like my brother Steven's friends. They'd be like, can Charlie come out to play? And we'd play stickball. And his favorite game to play was Risk. He was a very big Risk player. He was always black when we played Risk, and he always took over slowly but surely, and he just beat us all the time. And I remember one time the neighbors, the Fakovic kids, came over, and they were like, it was like 4 of us playing Risk or 5 of us playing Risk. I might have just been watching. I was a kid. And they just attacked him, you know. They just all ganged up and attacked him because they weren't going to let him win. And he lost, of course, and they're like, oh, see, you didn't win. And he said, well, when all 4 of you were attacking me only, how do you expect me to win? So, you know, he was understandably a little upset about that because, you know, it was a little unfair. It was attack Charlie so he doesn't win. But, you know, he was always big at games. We used to play ping pong. He set up a ping pong table in the house in East Islip, and you know he would beat us all the time because he was an adult and we were, you know, I was 10 and my brother was 14, and my mother used to say, Charlie, why don't you let the kids win? And he said, if I let them win, how are they going to learn? So he was right about that. You know, it was a we don't have that mentality now. Now everybody wants to win. Oh, Kathy, I'm talking about my dad. It's so funny, Charlie. So let's see, what else did he do when we lived in East 53rd Street? Not a lot of people had cars back then, and he was big on cars. We had a Buick LeSabre. That was the first one I remember. But before that, he had a Plymouth and something else. And, you know, it was East 53rd Street in Brooklyn between M and N. And because we had a car, there was a grocery store at the end of the block, Harry's grocery store. My dad used to back up the car on the street. We were in about the middle of the block, so he'd back up to go to the store because it didn't even make sense to turn around. But, you know, he would just back up, shop, put the stuff in the trunk, and then, you know, we'd be home. So he'd drive back to the house a half a block. So that was another funny Charlie thing. He always just wanted to make people laugh, and he was just a big kid. He always said, Kathy, I know at your house he used to love to play volleyball. He moved to Florida after he retired from the Transit Authority, and they were big volleyball players back then. And because he was the youngest of, I think, 9 or 10 kids, I think maybe 9, youngest of 9, he was, you know, the next generation, so that his older brother's children, who were his cousins, were about the same age as he was. So, you know, I had a cousin out in California, cousin Nikki, and him and my father were the same age, so they hung around. And Kathy, your dad, Anthony G and Turco, Uncle Tony to me, him and my father, they were buds. They looked alike. They looked so much alike that you could almost mistake them for each other. And it happens sometimes. I remember once I was at the bowling alley, and I was with my friend, and I said, she didn't know, my Uncle Tony, I was like, wow, look at that guy. He looks just like my father, you know? And it was pretty funny because she was a little freaked out. She's like, oh my God, how could that be? He looks just like your father. And in fact, you know, it was his brother. So that was fun. When we used to go out and visit Uncle Tony in Brentwood, from Brooklyn, we'd drive out, and they had, yes, youngest of 9. It was a big family. And so Uncle Tony's, I'll never forget, Kathy, Uncle Tony's house had this little fake deer on the front lawn, you know. He was in a big house in Brentwood, and I used to always ride the deer. And it was when we were visiting that one night, my father, you know, we got a flat tire, and it was late. We were going to drive back to Brooklyn. They said, oh, stay overnight, and you'll leave in the morning. And the next morning, they took us driving around, and we ended up seeing a house for sale that was in East Islip. We had been looking in Staten Island. And we saw the house for sale in East Islip, and we ended up moving out to East Islip. That's where I grew up after Brooklyn. So, you know, it was kind of funny that the flat tire was what led us out there. And so many amazing stories. My dad used to he has a million stories. When I was born, he had just lost his job as a whipped cream delivery guy. He used to deliver whipped cream. And he lost his job right when my mother was pregnant with me, and then when I was born, I think the day I was born, he got a job with the Transit Authority, and that was the job that he kept until his retirement. He ended up being a foreman, a painter foreman, and it was just, you know, it was just good luck. Him and me always had a great connection, and what can I say? I was Daddy's little girl. There's, you know, there's no getting away from that. It was an amazing thing for both of us. He used to fix windows in the Bronx on Saturday, casement windows, and I remember I would go with him. Me and my brother Stephen would go together, and while he was fixing the windows, we would, you know, we were young. We were probably 12 and 16. And we used to play like Secret Agent, man. Me and my brother used to play Secret Agent, like hiding behind the doors and making believe we were shooting at each other while my father was fixing windows. And my brother kind of, you know, fell off. He wasn't interested anymore. So I used to go myself with my dad. And we ended up having a pretty good routine where, you know, I just learned the job with him, and I was probably 16 years old, and I would set up the window, and he would cut out the rusted casement window rail, and then I would set it up, he would weld it in, I would, you know, put the putty on it and paint it, and we had like quite a little business together, the two of us, welding windows on Saturday. And it was tons of fun. And we always, on the way home, we stopped off at Nathan's and got a couple of hot dogs. And we always bet at OTB. Before we left in the morning, we would go to OTB and we'd make our bets on the horses. And then we'd work all day. And then on the way home, we would get the Nathan's. And they used to call the horse races in that day on the radio. So we'd listen to it on the radio, them calling the races live. And we did pretty good. Any horses that had a cat name in it or a prince, you know, Super Cat, this cat, whatever cat. My dad always bet on the horses that had the cat names. And he did pretty well. He won with those. And, you know, he wasn't... he didn't want to go to school. He didn't want to go to high school. In fact, my Uncle Mario used to pay him to go to school because he wouldn't go. So he ended up, you know, dropping out of high school and supporting the family. He got a GED ultimately. But he was really very, very street smart guy. I mean, you could just ask him something and he would always have like the short answer to whatever difficulty you were going through. You know, I mean, it's hard to talk about difficulties because they're difficult. But I remember when I was having difficulty in my marriage and my father said, if it's worth saving, then save it. And it was such a simple concept, you know, and he was always full of that stuff. And he would say funny things like, you know, it's not the neighborhood that's the problem, it's the people that are in it. And we had a cat named Sunday. No, the cat was named Monday because we found her on a Monday. And he never wanted to call the cat outside the house. And we'd say, Daddy, you know, call the cat. No, I don't want to open the door and yell Monday if it's a Tuesday or a Thursday. So that was his kind of mentality. And What else was the other thing that I was thinking that he used to say all the time? He'd say he was so skinny. If you saw any of the pictures, I had some other pictures that I put up earlier today. Ooh, not those. Got the secret pictures. He was a skinny guy. He weighed like, 108 pounds soaking wet. And he used to say that he would run through the raindrops. Run through the raindrops to get home. If it was raining, you didn't have to worry about it. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to get these pictures out. Sorry. But there's one little skinny picture of him here. Oh, boy. Yeah, no. Here he is in the back. This is my mom when we went to Land of 1,000 Animals and we had the monkeys. But this is Charlie in the background. Skinny guy. Unfortunately, smoking a cigarette, that was the problem. If you didn't smoke cigarettes as a G in Turco, you were fine. But if you smoke cigarettes, it's a problem. So he always encouraged me to do everything I wanted to do. He was always backed me. I could never do anything wrong in his eyes. It took me a long time to appreciate that. To him, I was just perfect, And when we're our own worst enemies all the time, our own worst critics, and you always think, I wish I did this sooner, or I wish I did that better, or I wish I did that. And but he never made me feel that way. He always made me feel like that I was perfect to him. And so it took me a long time, but I started to really try and see myself through his eyes. And it made it easier for me to let go of some of the things that you feel like you're not doing enough of, or you're not doing something good enough, or you could do something better. So when I started thinking of myself more like Charlie's daughter than Diana, then I could see that I was actually, pretty perfect. So that's Charlie G in Turco. If any of you knew him, you know that he was a hysterical, funny guy, and he was just a cut-up. So, Kathy, you know him. He's a riot. So tonight's lesson is going to be help others and you help yourself. Now, this is a very important thing. I left last week. We talked about that your face was your filter, and to be careful what you were letting in through your face, what you're watching, what you're listening to, what you're eating, what you're saying, because all of that is like a filter to your soul and to your life. And just like a clogged oil filter in your car, that causes your car to run badly. If you clog up your filter to your soul, then that you're going to get all crazy and messed up. So be careful what you're putting in. And I also said that I had gotten that information when I was helping somebody who was looking at, Ginny, I don't know if you started from the beginning, Ginny. We were just talking about all the crazy Charlie stuff on East 53rd Street, backing up to the store. Anyway, rewind. So I got that information that your face is your filter when I was helping somebody who was looking at the calendar in court and was not an attorney, and so they were a little lost. And I helped him, and I got some amazing information that really stays with me for my whole, a lot of the things I do. When I'm feeling uncomfortable, I'm like, what's going through my filter? What am I not filtering out? What people am I letting in? What ideas? What stuff on the TV or the radio am I listening to that's making me feel bad because it's bad stuff going through my filter, and I want to keep my filter clean. So I suggested that everybody help somebody this week. That was my tip, to see if you would be able to, feel good about it. And I'm going to talk more about that, and it is that when you're helping other people, all right, we all need help. Everybody needs help with something. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're Jeff Bezos, the Amazon guy. I don't care if you're Elon Musk. I don't care if you're Bill Gates. I don't care if you're a multimillionaire. Everybody needs help with something. And sometimes it's hard to help ourselves, and we can't see how the universal energy is going to help us. So here we have the help, the magnets, the universal energy trying to help you. And sometimes if you're blocking yourself, if you don't think that you can get something done, or it happens. I can't clean out my closet. I gave up cleaning out my closet because it wasn't that important. But there are things that I'm doing. I'm trying to write. I'm writing the seminar, and I'm blocking myself. And I have stuff that I want to get clear out of my life. And so what's happening is, whoops, This is what's happening. I'm blocking myself and I'm not getting that good energy to come towards me. So when you help other people, you're sending out the vibration to the universe that help is available, that help will come from someplace. If you can't help yourself, if you're blocked and you can't help yourself to finish a project or think through a problem or get, find the right house that you want to buy or get the money for the house, any of that stuff, when you're blocking yourself from the right job, because you can't help yourself. If you help someone else to do anything, something, then the universe you'll be putting out a vibration to the universe that help comes from outside. Because you're helping someone and giving generously, then the universe will attract to that vibration of helping and giving generously, and it will help you and give back generously to you. So, the help that you need, you don't know where it's going to come from. Somebody I was speaking to was talking about trying to buy a house and that they were having trouble, and somebody, offered to help them with a down payment, or it might be a family member, or it might be, somebody that offers to buy a car that you're trying to sell that's been sitting around forever, and all of a sudden, you're helping somebody else to get through a difficult thing, and then an offer comes in to buy your car that's been sitting around doing, nothing. And it's that the things that you're giving away, the things that you're helping people with, comes back to you, because the help can only come from a third party, from someone else. So what are the things that you're going to give? Obviously, you could give money to people. I said somebody helps somebody with a deposit. If you're inclined to give to, the ASPCA or the March of Dimes, any of the charitable funds, when we all know when disasters happen, hurricanes, fires, all kinds of, where there's always something going on, that people are inclined to, give money and help people. That's an easy way and a good way to give of yourself, because the thing is, the $100 that you give away, or the $10, whatever it is. I go to the store and they always have like, oh, do you want to donate to the Cancer for Children? $1, $2, $5. I'm buying like $150 worth of groceries or something, and I'm like, okay, $5. And they're always like, wow, $5, and because it's like a lot of people probably give nothing. Some people may give $1 or $2, but to have the $5 really seems like it's big. It's a big deal to them, and it seemed to me like $5 is a really small amount to give to children with cancer. I mean, my gosh, I would hope that, God forbid, if anybody, if I needed something, that somebody would offer $5 to help me. And when you're giving that money to any of those sources, the universe is understanding, and they say you're helping somebody by giving, and then the universe will give back to you. It's like opening the doors to giving. And there's a lot of people out there that'll go, oh no, I can't. I don't have the extra $1. I don't have the extra $2. I don't have the extra $5. I just spent all my money on groceries, $150. So if you spent $150 on groceries, $5 is like, ugh, I can't even do the math right now. It's about 1.3 of that. It's not even 1%. It's 0.3. So you have to, is that right? Whatever it is. It's not a lot. It's from 150 to 155. So give freely, because then the universe will give freely back to you. So let's say you don't have money to give. I guarantee if you go into your closet, there's right now, springtime, summertime, there's winter clothes, there's stuff that you can donate to Goodwill. There's dishes that you don't need. There's, shoes. There's furniture that you don't need. Even if you just I just got 2 new stools, which the universe directed me to the new stools. That's another story. I put a wave out. The universe, I listened. That thing about listening and acting, I listened and I heard the universe say, go meet Ernie and buy the stools on Route 110. And we did it in 8 minutes. We had the stools. It was ridiculous because I listened and I followed the universal energy and it led me right to it. I have to do that more often. It's important. So, there's items you can give away. things. Oh, I was talking about the stools. I have my 2 old stools. I can just put them out on the street, and somebody, will drive by and say like, hey, these are nice stools. They just, need to be reupholstered on the top or something. And they got the push pins on it. It's really not difficult. I've had them for a dozen years, so I'm getting rid of them. I got the new stools. The new stools are in. The old stools are going to go out. And somebody who needs stools is going to drive by and say, oh my gosh, I need stools, and here are some nice stools that I can fix up and straighten out, and they'll be good for me for 15 years, whatever. So it's something that's simple, that you could just literally put something out on the curb, and you know how that is. People drive around. I know I've found. I'm looking at something right now, a little chest of drawers thing that I use with all my props. It's my prop cabinet now. That somebody was getting rid of, and it was so adorable on my walk, and I just carried it home. Yeah, that's the kind of person I am. I know I have a friend, George Nicholas. He's always finding stuff. He finds stuff, he fixes it up, and then he sells it or he gives it away. Now, is that something that, he has to do? No, it's something that he enjoys doing, because he knows that this is a thing that's going to go and somebody's going to be using it. It's going to go to good use. So those are 2 ways: money, items. The biggest thing that you can give is your time. Time is really the only thing that I believe is limited. I think everything is unlimited. I think, money is unlimited. Really, you could make any amount of money that you want if you put your mind to it. And as a result of all of that abundance that comes in Costco that I've spoken about, or all the grains of sand in the beach and the drops of water in the ocean. There's so much stuff that is unlimited, but time, your time is something that is limited. And so giving your time to somebody is really the most valuable thing that you can do. So what are we talking about? We're talking about picking up the phone and calling somebody that you haven't spoken to in a while that you might know is having trouble, or if somebody is in the hospital getting ready for a surgery or just getting over a surgery, take the time, make the effort to drive by and pop your head in and just spend 5 minutes, spend 10 minutes. It makes a huge difference, because the time that you're spending with them is something that it's the highest value. And it doesn't cost anything. I mean, I'm saying it's the highest value and it doesn't cost anything. We all have limited time. I don't have time to do that. I don't have time to stop at somebody's, I have something else to do that I can't do it. Make the time, because when you're giving your time, the universe sees that you're sacrificing time, and then something will, the universe will give you back time in a way that, you might not understand. It'll come quickly. Like something, for example, the stools that I just bought. I've been looking. I haven't seen anything I like. Been looking for months. All of a sudden, we drove up the block. We went to TJ Maxx, and there they were, the stools. They're perfect. And it was 8 minutes. So it was something that the universe really gave me back a lot of time, because the rest of the night, we just went and kicked around, went to Walmart, and just had a little fun on a Thursday night. A Thursday night where you're usually home doing nothing, So if it's time that you just spend with your neighbor, just walk across the street. I walked across the street today and I talked to my neighbor. She's having some work done on the outside of her house. She's been really waiting a long time since Hurricane Sandy, because it's been difficult with all the contractors. And I just went across the street and I said, hey, wow, your house looks really nice. Because it does. And I know her heart has been breaking because it's been so difficult to get the work done. And you know what? Just walking across the street for 5 minutes and saying, your house looks nice. That was just giving of time. It didn't cost me any money. I didn't lose any items, material stuff. It was just time that I gave somebody 5 minutes. And it really is, it has the most effect on the universe, because it's saying that you can spare, even if it's the most precious thing that you have, time, that you can spare time. And you can help somebody by just saying some things to them, or listening, also listening to somebody. If you know somebody's going through a difficult thing, just call them up and say, hey, how you doing? Or I was thinking about you. That's how it happens. You think about, it's Father's Day. tough day for a lot of people. I had an unusually tough day today. What can I say? All my spiritual, they're all around us and all that stuff, and I miss my dad today more than I have in many years. That I felt it, So I tried to do all the things that he liked to do. I had a steak for dinner, and I'm making jokes. So that's what's important. So, but if somebody's having a tough time going through that, if somebody's having anything, going through a divorce, going through any other loss of a job, or if somebody just moved someplace and maybe they miss their family, just call them up and listen to them. Give them your ear. And then you're spending time, you're not even speaking, you're just listening. So it's about as little effort as you can put in. And it's going to have the most effect on the universe because it is, it's really valuable, and the universe will understand that you're giving freely of valuable time. And a lot of this stuff, like I can't afford to give, I don't have items to give, I don't have time to give, it all comes from a scarcity mentality. That you don't have enough of something, whatever it is, money, clothes, time. That scarcity mentality is going to always keep you in scarcity and lack. So you are always going to be running out of time. You are always going to be running out of money. You are always going to be running out of items, because you're keeping that impression that those things are hard to get and difficult to get, and they're in limited supply. So you're like holding on to them. It's like holding water. Wayne Dyer talks about this thing, holding water. You ever try to hold water? You can't. If you cup the water like that, it'll stay in your hand. But as soon as you go like that, it washes away. So you have to appreciate that these things are... I'm looking at my cousin Kathy is talking about 2 to 3 minutes to give to somebody, your neighbor, a single woman who works. There you go. Bring her some dinner 2-3 times a week, homemade food. Kathy, you are a cook. I was talking last week about something cooking. I forgot what it was, and I was like, Kathy, cooking. I need your cooking advice. But yeah, something like that. It makes you feel so good. It makes you feel so good to let somebody know that they're not alone, that there is help. That just comes unexpectedly from the outside. And then that's how the help is going to come to you. The help that you need for something is going to come unexpectedly from the outside, from a source you never realized. And it's because you gave, because you were the unexpected source of help for somebody else, that's how it's going to happen for you. That's just the way the universe is. I found this guy. He came up on my YouTube feed, Reverend Ike. Okay, Reverend Ike was from like the 70s and 80s, a black minister, super flamboyant. He was selling out like Madison Square Garden. He was the first one to sell out Madison Square Garden before, other than a sports thing. That was not a sports event. He was the first one to sell out Madison Square Garden. He wore like multicolored tuxedos, and he was really talking about the law of prosperity. And I've been listening to him for days now. He just popped up, and I got to tell you, I love him. Reverend Ike, look him up. He's hysterical and very simple. And he said this about giving: there is no one so poor as the one who thinks that he or she has nothing to give. If you think you have nothing to give, you're going to remain in that thing that you don't have anything. It's when you start giving stuff away that the stuff comes back to you. I remember one time I was cleaning out my closet, and I was just putting more and more stuff in the pile of, to donate. And I actually said out loud, the more I give, the more I have to give. Because the stuff just kept coming. It was like every drawer I opened, I was like, here's more. And it felt so good to get rid of all this stuff. And it really felt true. The more I give, the more I have to give. And you'll find that happens. Things will come back to you. And besides, if you give away all that stuff in the bottom of the drawers and in the shelves, you'll have more room. You'll have more open space for new stuff to come into your life. You can't receive new stuff in your life if you're, if you're still clogged with old stuff that you don't need. You have to get rid of those things. Here's a couple of other quotes. I know I like the quotes. Charles Dickens said, "No one is useless in this world who lightens the burdens of another." Kathy, that's a perfect example. Helping a lady next door who's a single mom, bringing her some food, bringing her some home-cooked meals that she can have so that one night she doesn't have to cook or put them in their freezer and use them later. This is John Holmes. Not that John Holmes. There is no exercise better for the heart than reaching down and lifting people up. That's the thing about just making a call, making somebody feel better, being there to be a sounding board for somebody, just making someone feel better. Sometimes just talking to people, if somebody gets something off their mind, off their chest. I know recently I had something that I was carrying heavy, and I talked to Miriam about it, and it felt much better. It opened the door to start letting it go, and Miriam was, of course, a great ear for me to have to rebound off of. And here's a great line from a guy named John Bunyan. You have not lived today until you have done something for someone who can never repay you. That's the key. You have to give without the expectation of being repaid. Just give freely, and it creates a flow of generosity. People who are giving freely and not worried about, I hope it comes back to me, or if I give something nice to somebody or help somebody, I'll get it in return. It will naturally come back. But when you are not expecting to be repaid, when you're helping somebody who's not going to be able to repay you, then you're giving that freely. You're giving it away. And I remember myself, I was reading all the miscellaneous multiple things that I read, and somebody was talking about it's better to give than to receive. And somebody said, well, you have to receive something, or else if you don't receive something first, you won't be able to give it. And I thought about that, and I thought, you know what? It's not what they mean by it is better to give than to receive, because the true giving is giving of yourself. You don't have to have something to give to somebody. It's better to give than to receive, because when you're giving from yourself, from your heart, from your head, from your hands, from hugging, whatever it is, when you're giving from yourself, that is better than receiving. But it starts the flow of receiving, because when you're giving, someone else is receiving. You can't have giving without receiving. So the giving starts the cycle. The giving starts the cycle. And then when you give of yourself without expecting anything back, then the universe starts giving you stuff without expecting anything back. And those big things that you get, that you can't pay back, stuff that you can't pay back, those are the big things in your life. The big things that come that you don't. I can't pick something out right now. That's a big thing that somebody gave me that I can't get back because it's so big. Except love every single person that's giving me their time right now. This is, like, for me, so amazing because you're giving me your time. You're never going to be able to get it back. This is time that's spent. I'm giving, hopefully, knowledge to you to help you to do something that will better your life. That's my whole purpose here, is to help people to have an easier life. And it's really that simple. It's a give and take between human beings. It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter what color you are. It doesn't matter what religion you are. Everybody needs help. And everybody can help. So, whoops. So, give and help. Uh-oh. I don't know what just happened. I don't know if you guys saw that. Something just came up on my screen about Google app. It must mean that I'm out of time. See, this happened last week too. The universe is telling me, Diana, time's up. You shut up. Okay. I don't know what else to say except I hope you have a great week. Go out this week and help somebody. It could come easily. It could come as easily as helping somebody open a door for somebody and they're trying to get through with a bunch of packages, or it could be something where you actually will purposefully stop by somebody's house on the way home, bring them something, or lend them an ear. So keep on the lookout for things where you're going to be able to help people, because even a small thing, a small help for somebody can come back to you as something big, because the universe doesn't count like that. The universe doesn't say like, oh, this is worth $1 and this is worth $1 million. It doesn't matter. It's give and receive, give and receive. So just give and help people, and it will come back to you, and you'll feel good. It makes you feel good to help somebody, and that good feeling will be like the magnets. You'll magnetize good feeling back to you by helping somebody, and you'll get help back. So here's Kathy again. I know, Ginny, I love my dad too. Okay, I'd rather give another neighbor, list her home and get into rehab. Wow. Put her cedar chest that was her grandmother's in my storage and gave her a charm to let her know that it was always there for her. Wow. Okay. This is big. Kathy, you're doing a lot of big stuff over there. And I know that the universe is blessing you with things that you need help with. So this is an important thing. You are in the cycle. You're in the cycle of giving and receiving. And I think you understand. And you just have to help other people to understand that, the importance of giving and receiving, and get into the cycle. Get into the cycle. And it's with people. It's helping people. It's helping animals. It's helping any living creature. It's helping anything that, even cleaning up the beach. When I walk down to the beach, if I see trash or whatever, I clean it up. That's a help. It's helping seagulls who aren't going to eat that trash or whatever, you know. Any time that you can help anything, you will get that vibrational wave going out, and it will come back to you. So that is all I'm going to say right now. Go out, help people. Help, help, help. I need somebody. Help. What did I say the other day? Something about that song. I made a funny song. Anyway, I love you all, and love is all you need. So go out, give love, get love back, and let's help make the world a better place. It will be if we share love. Bye, everybody. Happy Father's Day to everybody. Whatever you're doing, send love. Bye. Hi, Mike. Bye, guys. See you next week.